Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just getting an assessment for where we are in the field. We're currently positioned at Trenton Mercer Airport in Ewing, New Jersey, Ewing Township, New Jersey. Our aircraft is on the west ramp right now, and in a second, let me just set the mic here, and we can get started. Test, test, test. Radio check. Okay, I sound good in my ear, so you probably hear me pretty well on this video. Let's go to our... This virtual cockpit view is nice. We could see everything, but I like to, for training purposes, I'd like to get the general cockpit view so we can beacon, taxi, nav light. Okay, so we can go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and taxi to forward a little bit. And let's roll forward and brake test. Brakes are good. And let's get on around the runway. This landing gear is a little squirrely. So we're going to take our time, and we're going to pretend that we've been cleared to take off runway 24, which shoots us right out over the Delaware River. And as you can see, it's a pretty nasty day. And we'll just talk about, we'll get into our hold short position of runway 624, and we'll talk about a little bit to just recap on our last video. We discussed attitude instrument flying, and we talked about our basic scanning techniques, be it V-scan, T-scan, inverted V-scan, radial scan. We talked about the three fundamental instrument flying skills, which are cross-check or instrument cross-check, instrument interpretation, and aircraft control. We also talked about this rudder is not cooperating today. Okay, there's runway 24. We also talked about the three common errors that you'll make early in your flight training, which is emphasis, omission, and fixation. So we don't want to fixate on any one of the basic 6 instruments. which are right here: our airspeed indicator, attitude indicator, altimeter, vertical speed indicator, directional gyro, or turn coordinator. So we don't want to fix, we don't want to omit them. We want to just do a nice comfortable scan and cross-check with everything. Now there are two different methods of teaching attitude instrument flying. One is the control and performance method or concept. The next one is the primary and support concept. These are two different methods of scanning the same flight instruments, generally yielding the same control responses, but they differ in the degree that we rely on the attitude indicator. So what we do, our primary support is what we're going to focus on. We have primary instruments, and just to cover those real quick, we have primary bank instruments, or pitch. Let's talk about pitch, bank, and then power. So primary pitch instruments would be our airspeed indicator could tell us we're pitching. Our attitude indicator, we could be pitching nose up and nose down. Our altimeter could be telling us that we're pitching nose up or nose down. And our vertical speed indicator could be telling us that we are pitching nose up or nose down. Sorry about that, I killed it, don't worry. Alright, so the next set of instruments are bank instruments. Our bank instruments include our attitude indicator, our directional gyro, and our turn coordinator. And power would be dependent on the type of aircraft. Since this is a constant speed propeller aircraft, manifold pressure would be our power. In some cases, airspeed would be, or if it was a fixed pitch propeller, it would be RPM that would be our power instrument. Commonly, in a lot of cases, and I won't go into a lot of cases, we'll just do the lesson and turn our taxi light off, landing light on, lights all across the board, fuel bump, boost pump is on for takeoff, trim is in the takeoff position. Okay, looks good, feels good, is good. Alright, so basically what we're going to do is we are going to climb to an altitude of, I don't know, 2,000 feet? Yeah, I think 2,000 feet is good. Alright, we're going to climb to altitude of 2,000 feet on a heading of 240 since we are departing runway 24. I think that would be appropriate. And let's just pretend that we've been clear for takeoff. This is simulator world, so we can bend some rules, but we don't go crazy with it. We try to keep it as close as we can, but for training purposes, we're just going to pretend that we've been clear for takeoff and Okay, this is runway 24. Very nasty weather. Slide up. Full power. Airspeed is alive. Rotation. Okay, we're climbing out runway heading to 2,000 feet. Engine instruments are green, fuel pump on. Looks good, feels good, is good. 1,200 feet to go to our target altitude. Now, I will be covering some things that you will see on the Federal Aviation Administration computer test examination for the instrument pilot people, going for your instrument rating. If you're taking your written, you will see this information on the written exam. So I'm going to talk about it. Alright. Our cruise power is going to be 35 inches of manifold pressure. Low cruise will be, I don't know. High cruise will be 35, low cruise will be 25. Because we're going to discuss airspeed changes. And, okay. We should be leveling out at 2, and we'll pull our. Use 30. Okay, so 240 straight and level flight, 2,000 feet. Now, primarily in straight and level flight, what our objective is to do is to maintain a constant airspeed, a heading, and altitude. Alright, so once we're established, we have primary instruments for pitch, bank, and power that we want to look at. Our primary pitch instrument, and you can remember this whenever you're in level flight, pitch, your pitch instrument is going to be your altimeter. So we're always thinking pitch, bank, power. Alright? So our primary instrument for straight and level flight for pitch is going to be altimeter, because this gives us the most pertinent information. Okay, for the straight and level flight, maintaining altitude is our objective for pitch. For bank, straight and level flight, our heading indicator, or directional gyro, or horizontal situation indicator. All airplanes are not equipped with a horizontal situation indicator, but that's okay. This is still basically a heading indicator. So this is our bank. If we come off course, this is going to give us the most direct and pertinent information. It's going to be the first thing to yell at you and say, hey, you're not on the proper heading. And for power, the airspeed indicator. So whenever you're thinking about straight and level flight, when you see multiple choice questions, for straight and level flight, for pitch, altimeter, for bank, it's going to be your heading indicator. Power, so remember the V, straight and level flight. Normally when you're doing straight and level flight. Okay, now we're in mid-cruise. We're going to go to low cruise because we're going to demonstrate what we do for airspeed changes. Okay, now when we're doing level flight, this is a level flight, we're doing airspeed changes. So let's say the air traffic controllers told us to reduce speed. So we pull back on the power, we bring it down to 25 inches of manifold pressure. We still want to maintain 2,000 feet. So the altimeter never changed for our primary pitch. The heading indicator never changes for our primary bank. And initially, our primary power instrument is going to be manifold pressure, RPM or RPM gauge in a fixed pitch propeller aircraft. But then we're going to go to our airspeed indicator because we're reducing speed. Conversely, if we add power, it's going to be the same thing. Initially, we're going to go to high cruise, 35 inches of manifold pressure. We're powering up. Initially, we're going to look at the manifold pressure gauge, and then we'll back it up for power. But for pitch, it's still going to be the altimeter. For bank, it's still going to be heading. And then for power, it's going to be initially the manifold pressure gauge, but then we're going to follow up with the airspeed, and just check and make sure that we're getting the desired airspeed that we want. Okay, now establishing a standard rate turn. All right, when we're establishing a level standard rate turn, all right, altimeter is going to be our primary pitch instrument, because we're still maintaining. So whenever we're maintaining an altitude, the altimeter is going to be the primary pitch instrument. That's what we're going to be looking at, not emphasizing or fixating on, because we're going to back it up with our attitude indicator and our vertical speed indicator. Okay, but primary. What are we going to be looking at primarily to maintain our altitude? We're going to be looking at the altimeter. Alright, so when we're establishing the standard rate turn, when we're establishing it, the first thing we're going to use is our attitude indicator for bank. This was our straight and level primary bank indicator, but since we're establishing a standard rate turn, then what's going to happen is we're going to look at our attitude indicator first. We'll bring it around to 1.5. We're establishing it. So this never changes as our pitch instrument. This initially is our bank instrument, but then we want to make standard rate turns, so we have to go to our turn coordinator to make sure that the ball is center and we're in coordinated flight, and that the wing is on the marker for a standard rate turn, so we can get 3 degrees per second out of our turn. We're going to keep bringing that around. It's about 060. Now we are established in a level standard rate turn. So primary pitch is going to be our altimeter. Establishing attitude indicator. When we have it established, then our turn coordinator is going to be our primary bank instrument. Okay, and then we want to maintain, when we're establishing it, we want to maintain our airspeed. But then after we get established in the standard rate turn, it'll still be airspeed. Okay, so we don't want this falling off. So that's an indication that, oh, your power, either you're losing power or you're not maintaining power. Alright, we're going to come back around to 240. So now we're in straight and level flight again. Okay, what are our primary pitch, bank, and power instruments? Altimeter, primary pitch, primary bank, heading indicator, primary power, airspeed indicator. Alright. Changes in level back, let me just recap. Our changes in airspeed and flight is still going to be for pitch, bank, power. Still going to be it's going to be for changes, power changes. So we got to bring in we're not at constant speed, we're going to be doing power changes. So anything with a power change is going to indicate we're going to use our manifold pressure or our RPM gauge if we are using a fixed pitch propeller. Alright, so establishing. Remember, establishing. This doesn't change. This is going to be our primary pitch, primary bank. Establishing is going to be the attitude indicator, then the turn coordinator. Alright, and then airspeed indicator is going to be the same. Alright, so it's going to be the same for power. So I'm going to bring it around. Establishing pitch, bank. Then after we get established this, and then this is going to be our power primary. Okay, we're going to bring it around to 240. We're established. Again, we're establishing the standard rate turn for pitch, level turn, pitch, bank, because we're established now, power, airspeed indicator, pitch, bank, power. Now sometimes we can change the airspeed and the level turn. So remember, airspeed changes and the level turn. If we're in a turn already, then our pitch and bank is going to be pitch, bank, turn coordinator. Since we're changing our manifold pressure or RPM gauge, it's going to be, and we're going to bring it around because we're going to do a couple power changes. All right. We're going to go into low cruise. .25 inches. So for pitch, altimeter, for bank, primary, turn coordinator, we're established in the standard rate turn. And since we're changing our speed in this turn, initially our manifold pressure is going to be our primary, and then we're going to back it up to make sure that our power setting that we set, we want to make sure that we're slowing down. So this will be a supporting instrument. We're going to roll it back around to 240. Alright, so. And again, if you just look at this, if you guys are going through your instrument training, just look at this video, man, again and again and again, dude. Because visually, you will capture it. Alright. Now we're going to do another change. We're actually going to do an increase in speed. So, let's go back to 35 inches of manifold pressure. Alright, primary pitch, we're level. Altimeter, we're establishing the standard rate turn. Turn coordinator. Power changes, primary, your manifold pressure, and we back it up with our airspeed indicator, and we see our needle rising above 140. So the power that we put in, the airspeed indicator confirms that, hey, you guys put in power, and this is the result. Right. Now, as we roll out, we're going to talk about transitioning from straight and level, because that's where we are now. Since we're in straight and level, remember, V, start here, bang, bang. Pitch, bank, power. Primary instruments, pitch, bank, power. Primary, pitch, primary bank, primary power. So now we're going to transition from straight and level flight to a constant airspeed climb. Alright, so when we do that, for pitch, for climbing, we're not maintaining level flight, so this is not going to be our primary pitch instrument anymore. It's going to be this guy. Alright, so we're going to pitch, always climb with full power, and we're going to trim. Now we're transitioning. So our attitude indicator initially is going to be our primary pitch. Primary bank is going to be our heading indicator because we're not turning. So whenever we're not turning, this guy doesn't play anymore. We're just going straight, so the heading indicator becomes the primary bank instrument. And the full power manifold pressure we set up, and then we back it up by just checking because we may need to adjust our altitude. We don't want to bleed off too much airspeed in cruise. We want a nice climb. Alright, so transitioning from straight and level to constant airspeed climb. And if we want to use 140, let's use 140. So we're going to have to take out some of that climb. We're going to have to reduce our climb in feet per minute to get that 140 back. We're 130 now. We're going to pitch just a little bit nose lower. See if we can't get the indication that we want. Okay, the needle's building back up, so that's how I would do it. If I want a constant airspeed climb, I'm going to watch my vertical speed indicator. Now, once we're in a straight constant airspeed climb, which is 140 is what we want, right? About 130, that was still indicated constant airspeed climb. We're not really building airspeed, we're not losing it. We're trying to get back to 140, and I showed you how we had to reduce our climb in feet per minute. Alright. So once we're in a constant airspeed climb, our primary pitch instrument is the airspeed indicator. We want to climb out at 140. So that is our primary pitch instrument. Straight, so we always, whenever we're not turning, this is going to be our primary bank instrument, heading indicator. And then our power is going to be our manifold pressure. We want it full. We always claim it full, so we make sure that the throttle is all the way in. And look at us. We have a constant airspeed climb, 140. I'll let that go for a little bit. Alright. When we transition, initially our attitude indicator, because we want to see this rise and say, hey, we're in a climb. Then after we get into our climb, we go to our attitude indicator, our airspeed indicator for a pitch. But whenever we transition and go into a constant airspeed climb, the only thing that changes is the pitch instruments. Initially we set our pitch by raising the nose above the horizon. Then we follow up with this when we want a constant airspeed climb. Alright, the heading indicator does not change from the transition to maintenance of a steady airspeed, straight constant airspeed climb. The heading indicator stays straight because we're not doing any changes in turns, in headings or direction. We're not doing any changes in direction. So the heading indicator will be and continue to be the primary bank instrument in this case. Then the manifold pressure. Transitioning, we went to full power, we're still in the climb, we're going to stay at full power. Alright, so then I think another thing I'm going to try to do as powers increase, that's the same thing as transitioning from straight and level. You're going to increase the power. Attitude indicator initially is going to be your primary pitch instrument. Constant airspeed, the airspeed you want, you're going to target by raising or lowering the amount of vertical speed, and then transitioning back to straight and level flight. 4,000. No. 4,000. Okay, so and then as we come back in our 4,000, we level out and we pull our power back. We'll go into mid cruise, which is 30 inches. And again, straight level flight, what are our primary? Pitch, bank, and power. The V. Pitch, 4,000. Bank, we're not turning. Power, airspeed indicator. When we are establishing a standard rate level turn, alright, we're establishing. So first we go to our attitude indicator, then the turn coordinator. Alright, that's going to be our bank. Level flight, our primary pitch is going to be our altimeter. So pitch, altimeter, bank, initially the attitude indicator. Then we follow up to make sure that the wing is on the ticker for the turn coordinator, be it a left turn or right turn. And then after that, our airspeed indicator initially is going to be our note, and then we'll back it up with the manifold pressure. So whenever airspeed is always going to be when we're pretty much level, we're going to monitor our airspeed. In transitioning climbs, first power, then airspeed. But initially power is going to be the main thing whenever we do any type of changes. Alright. And then straight constant rate. So we could be in a constant airspeed climb or constant rate climb. The constant rate climb, instead of monitoring our airspeed, we would just be looking at our vertical speed indicator, and the VSI would be our primary pitch. If we're straight, the bank will be still flying straight. Heading indicator, whenever we're flying straight, bank, the heading indicator is going to be primary, and then constant rate will monitor our airspeed for power, because we want to make sure that we have the power. I got the power. Remember that song? I'm telling on my age, aren't I? Okay, so I guess at that point we'll just go ahead and we'll bring it back to Trenton Mercer Airport, ILS runway 6. Let's see here. 1.3 is the frequency. We will turn on nav 1, we'll turn on the marker, we will rotate the Omni bearing selector to 058, and we'll pretend that Philadelphia approach control is vectoring us. Also, what I want to do is get we're going to go into virtual cockpit mode, and what we're going to do, because for some reason we don't get the automatic direction finder, right? But we can utilize all our other, and this is a more realistic view of what would be going on in the airplane, being able to look outside and, you know, see what's going on and stuff like that. But for attitude instrument flying, you would have foggles on anyway, so you wouldn't be able to find it. So that's why I kind of like the regular cockpit view, because the instruments are bigger, you can see them a lot better in the video and stuff. But primarily we have a virtual cockpit mode that we can look at and everything like that. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to bring ourselves into the instrument landing system at Trenton Mercer Airport. And let's see, we probably need to step on down. So about 2,000 is good at altitude. And when we do a descent, which we are doing, pull our power back. Because we don't want to overspeed. We're in the upper green arc. We don't want to get ourselves into the caution speed range, which is the yellow part. So we climb with full power. And for our simulations, descent power is going to be set at 20 inches of manifold pressure whenever we fly this simulator. In the Cessna 172, I use the bottom of the green arc. If I really need to lose altitude, I'll pull a carb heat and pull it out below the green arc. But this should be sufficient. And you know what? Let's expedite our descent to 1,500 feet per minute. So in this descent, this is a VS. This is a vertical speed. This is a vertical speed. It's a constant rate. It's a constant rate descent. Alright. So constant rate, or stable constant rate stabilized descent. The vertical speed indicator is going to be our primary pitch. Our heading, we've set our heading. That's going to be our primary bank. And our airspeed indicator, we're going to track primarily for our power. Pull it back just a little bit because we're getting to the top of the green arc. 1,000 feet to go. Let's see, what are we? Okay, we're looking good. We are slightly southwest of Philadelphia Northeast Airport. And we're going to level out at 2,000. Almost there, 200 feet to go. And we start letting that descent come out. And then as we get into 2,000 feet, we're going to slowly bring the power up to, we're going to go to high cruise, which is 35 inches of manifold pressure. Okay. Now, again, we're in straight and level flight. What are our primary pitch, bank, and power instruments? Remember our V, straight and level flight. Remember our V. Start on the right and then bring it over to the left. Primary pitch is altimeter. Primary bank is heading indicator. Primary power is the airspeed indicator. So I think that's simple enough. And like I said, at first it'll just feel like Chinese to you, but when you let's flip this. 3. Okay. Okay, we got our confirmation of Alright, so yeah, we'll bring it on back to Trenton Mercer Airport. We'll shoot to ILS. And I hope, okay, we got our glide slope coming into play now. So we'll just guide ourselves over and we'll just get on it and we will land. So I guess on the way back I could talk about some things. Straight and level flight. You say it, I'm thinking it. I give you 5 seconds. Straight and level flight. What is memory aid we use? 1001, 1002, 1003 should have responded to V. And what instruments are included in that V? The altimeter, heading indicator, and the airspeed indicator. Those are the primary pitch, bank, and power. Level turns. Whenever we're establishing a level flight, level turn, the primary pitch instrument is going to be the altimeter because we're not changing. Right? Primary bank. If we're in straight and level flight, the primary bank is always going to be this guy, the heading indicator. We're not changing our bank. When we're establishing our bank, the primary bank indicator is going to be what? 1 second to answer. It's going to be the attitude indicator for establishing. Once we have established our standard rate turn, then the turn coordinate takes over as the primary bank. Alright? Normally, in straight and level flight, the airspeed indicator is always going to be the primary power instrument. Straight when you're in level, it's always going to be airspeed indicator when you're level. When you're changing airspeeds or transitioning from straight level, it's going to be manifold pressure. But normally, when you're level in level flight, airspeed, the airspeed indicator is always going to be your primary power. Okay, so I know it's confusing. When I was training for my instrument rating, it all sounded like Chinese, like I don't get it. But when I became an instructor, I had to learn how to teach it. So, you know, and then you know what? When you gather or you get more and more instrument experience, then it'll just really start to make sense to you, and you'd be like, okay, this doesn't feel like Chinese anymore. You know, so let's go back to our virtual cockpit. So I really want to see my outer marker ADF indication flip. Let's see if I can give you guys any more extra little tidbits A lot of times in my instrument training, I always had instructors that were like, you know, hey, we go out, we fly in real conditions, because, like I said, you have foggles, which are a view limiting device. But sometimes when you pop in and out of clouds, you get that flicker effect, and you want to take your eyes off your instruments and you want to look outside to just see what's going on. So for the first, I don't know, 10, 15 hours of my actual IFR, like actually in clouds and stuff like that, I left the foggles on until I established more discipline with keeping my eyes focused on the instruments. Now that little flicker outside the window, because typically when it's raining, you got like a stratus layer of clouds normally, the rain coming down. When you get on top, you start breaking out of the top, you get the flicker. Well, I'm used to that now, so it really doesn't disturb me anymore. It's really not a big deal to me. We should be getting I didn't put in 1.2 yet, so don't worry about that. I'm sorry, I was just keeping an eye on the instruments. So yeah, that's another thing. I'm gonna do another video on what we call pattern A, pattern B, so you can get your instrument scan skills really super tight. I may just do A. I'm not gonna do B. I can't give you everything. Damn. Okay, glide slope's coming down to us. And we'll actually kick the speed brake out. Station passage. You see the ADF on the Now, normally I did get the jaw jack in and running my mouth a little bit too much, but we need to bleed off some of this power. Okay, we're almost in the flap range, and we would pretty much have our approach flaps and everything set up normally. Okay, but spot, gear down, on localizer, on glide slow, first notch of flaps. Like how that approach lighting system kind of showed itself, and then now we can't see it now. Flaps 2, full flaps, and we'll talk more about approaches and stuff like that, but this video was more or less about attitude instrument flying. Wow.